Okay, trial run. Was it a riot? You know, is what happened at the Capitol a riot? Well, let's take an analogy. If somebody says to somebody, "Oh, I want to kill that guy," you know, that's one thing. Um, you have to weigh the particulars and the circumstances. Is it a legitimate threat? What's the context? If you take a gangbanger environment in Los Angeles, black or Hispanic, or if you take a New Jersey gangbanger of white gangs and they say that, it's probably something to really be concerned about. If you take it from a middle class San Diego suburb neighborhood and somebody says it, in that case, in that particular circumstance, the translation is I'm mad at that person. Um, you know, Usually when people said that in that context, you never took that as a legitimate threat. Um, Sometimes I think the New Jersey gangbangers have taken over government and military, and almost anything you say is legitimate reason to get shot or beat up or what have you. But so the analogy we extend, what if you say, "Oh, I want to kill the president"? Well, that's a different context too, because that's an arrestable offense, and you will get investigated by the Secret Service. Uh, you can't make that kind of threat to the president of the United States. So let's go to the Capitol. Was it a riot? You can have riots here or there, and they're riots, looting and burning. With the Black Lives Matter, there was a small percentage of people who were actually domestic terrorists, and for some reason, people like to label the whole thing as that. They want to stereotype every protester based on what a handful of people did. I'm just totally against stereotyping, whether it's stereotyping apples or whether it's stereotyping horses or whether it's stereotyping any group of people or any profession, what have you. Okay, so, but what if that riot is now at the Capitol? And this is where the analogy ties in. It's a little bit more than a riot, I think. It gets elevated beyond that. It's actually an assault on government offices and officials. And since the government, whether poorly or greatly, represents the people, it's an assault on the American people. So, riot? No, it's much worse than a riot. What does it rise to the level of? I'm not. I'm going to wait until the FBI finish its investigations. I'm going to wait and see what the district attorneys, the attorney general of the United States, decides what charges to bring. It's more complicated beyond just trespassing. Probably still going to take months, if not a year, before we know what the worst charges are going to be. So then, of course, you know, the people have to sit in trial before a jury of their peers. Uh, then we'll know what level it rose to beyond a riot. But until then, it's more than a riot. But I think the legal system gets to decide. The American people, through its legal system, its judicial system, its law enforcement systems, get to decide just exactly what it was. No amount of Democratic rhetoric, no amount of Republican rhetoric can or should change that.